There are plenty of signs we are in a renter's housing market. Industry watchers say early 2024 saw peak pricing, with the average rent for a two-bedroom place in BC hovering around $3,400 a month. But rents began dropping after that, in part due to increased housing supply and fewer people moving to the province. And renter incentives started popping up on various websites. Tenancy resource site live.rent's head of marketing, Matisse Yu, is here to explain this. Matisse, thanks for joining us. First of all, can you tell us about some of these incentives and what that might look like for a renter?
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely seeing a lot of rental incentives out there currently on the market. So things like 1 to 3 months of free rent, discounted deposits, free parking, or even gift cards in some cases. So landlords are having to be a lot more creative to stand out and generate just generate interest for their listings. And for renters, that can mean, saving hundreds of dollars just by asking what kind of incentives are available out there right now.
And this has happened in a relatively short amount of time, would you say?
I would say it would really started in the last year and a half when we saw rental prices starting to drop.
So rental prices dropping and landlords needing to attract tenants. What else can renters do to leverage, if we can call it, their power in this kind of climate beyond perhaps some of these incentives?
Yeah, so I would say the key right now is to really stay informed and approach conversations respectfully. Renters can definitely mention average prices in the area. For example, if a two-bedroom listing is listed for about $3,000 and a listing is listed for above that, starting the conversation of asking why is it above the asking average rent prices. And so even just asking, are there any rental incentives available, or whether they're up for negotiation, can really open the door for these conversations for renters. I think landlords right now in this market are aware of the trends and often prefer to negotiate rather than leave a unit vacant.
What if, for example, someone is already renting? They notice a unit on their floor perhaps going for $200 to $300 less than what they're paying. That could be a more difficult negotiation. What sort of, do you have a strategy for asking for a lower rate than you're already paying as an existing tenant?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it really depends on your lease, the specific lease type, and if they're month to month, or if, their lease is ending soon, then renters can definitely start that conversation. I think, what I would say is maybe take a screenshot, share the listing, and ask respectfully for maybe an adjustment with your landlord. I think a lot of landlords would rather keep a good tenant than risk vacancy in today's market. So in these cases, data is really power, and you can really open the conversation that way.
Is it still frustrating for some renters and perhaps even landlords, though, that we see rents for $3,000 a month and above it in some cases, when that is still a large chunk of somebody's income?
Yeah, for sure. And, the news headlines often are, rent prices are decreasing. And, right now they are still quite high when we compare it to, average income prices. We often see that renters are spending, really above 50% of their income on rental for, as part of their income. So it's definitely something that is widely discussed at the moment.
Matisse Yu with live.rent. We appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.